now listening to the IndieEye Film Awards podcast.
Welcome to the IndieEye Film Awards podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Dre.
And we are now going to talk about who we are and why we're doing this and why you might be listening. First of all, I'll start because... Why would I start?
Because you're already talking.
That's right. That's good. So, again, my name is Matt. I'm an independent filmmaker. I've been making content for 30 years now. And that goes back to big VCR camcorders on my shoulders back in the early 90s to a feature film I just wrapped up not too long ago. And I've done all sorts of content in between. I've done all the standard videography type work. I've done short films. I've done documentaries, documentary series, corporate work, commercials.
Weddings.
Yeah.
Yes.
And look, weddings are great. Weddings are great for videographers. I can go off on a whole podcast just about those. They are wonderful, trial by fire, flying by the seat of your pants, learning how to do this. It's high pressure documentary work, and people have brought wedding videography to a completely new level. And it just looks amazing, which is why I don't do it, because I can't make it look that amazing. And I can't stand the pressure. Plus, I'm too old now. I can't run around multiple areas and capture all the things I need to capture. It's too much pressure. I already have nightmares about not having batteries charged and cards for my cameras. So I can't deal with that pressure anymore. But yes, I've done weddings. But more recently, it's been... my feature film, short films, and I do a lot of contract, commercial, and corporate work for larger entities. So I have experience creating stuff, doing the sound, doing the planning, the casting, the editing, the shooting, all of the stuff I'm pretty experienced at. And then Andrea...
Hey.
Please talk about what you're bringing to the table here.
Well, I am a graphic designer, so I have what one would maybe call an aesthetic eye. I am a creative myself, and currently I own Retro Hip Co., which is a graphic design brand for the scrapbooking industry. I've also been married to Matt for 20 years now, and so I've produced and worked in many. I've worn many hats in his film projects all over the years, and so I've watched a lot of movies, and I feel like I know what's a good movie, what's a good story, and I'm excited to talk about the things that we're going to see.
Yeah, and you've been involved a lot in the production design, creation of props.
Yep.
Just the logistics of having to do craft services or transporting, scheduling people, and script supervising at certain times. And you've seen me go through all of the wearing of the hats that I do. Several of our things have been shot in locations in which we live.
Yeah.
So it's all up front and in your face. And then you've also seen the post-production side of things, the hours and hours and hours that go into it, and the struggles and the victories and the having to sit there and hey, come watch this. And, is this okay?
And hearing the same lines over and over and over as editing happens.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah, so we both love movies, and what we've really found in this first month of IndieEye Film Awards is that we absolutely have a blast watching the submissions. And thank you all for your submissions. I really appreciate the opportunity to watch all of these projects. I certainly understand the hard work that goes into everything that you've done and the process of putting it out in the world for others to see can be nerve-wracking. It can be very exciting. It could be difficult to hear feedback on. But ultimately, we enjoyed watching so much, and we had so much to say about the projects that we just decided, why don't we take our backgrounds and the fact that we get to see these submissions and give people a little bit more value and talk about it. And another reason why I did this is because as a filmmaker myself, and having used Film Freeway for years, I'm often scrolling through the festivals, looking at them and wondering, are these legit? Seems a little shady. And I'm pretty sure at this point that like 70% of the festivals there are crap. I mean, honestly. And really, look, if you're not getting into Sundance, if you're not, doing South by or Tribeca, things like that, we all kind of know that there are those upper tier festivals that would be great to get in. And then there's a pretty significant tier just underneath that would be fun to participate in. They're certainly worth submitting to and being involved in if you get that opportunity. Then there might be some pretty okay festivals where you can network locally with other filmmakers, and that's always a great opportunity and investment of your time. But then there's these other tiers of film festivals that are going on, and I've seen them firsthand where even if you're in person, this is not a great event, or if it's these new ones that are popping up online where it's online film awards by, and I realize we're IndieEye
That's what
Film.
we are.
Yeah, I know. But, and it was kind of an answer to what I'm saying because they all seem super suspect, a little shady.
A little sus?
Like, give us your money and we'll give you laurels and that's it and goodbye. And then you get nothing else from it. Maybe they post something on social, but nobody cares. Like, you care. When you're a filmmaker, you get laurels, you're like, yay. And most of the people probably in your life don't realize that these festivals don't matter. But I wanted to do something that maybe other festivals aren't. And I do know of one entry on, or one event on Film Freeway that does do a podcast based on the submissions they receive. And I just thought that was such a great idea that why not go the extra mile and do it? We have everything we need to make a podcast, so let's do it. And we're talking to ourselves about the movies. Let's let these people hear us talk about them, because it might be helpful to somebody. It might be something they want to share with their friends, right? Or it might be something they don't want to share at all.
There's probably maybe some things they don't want to hear at all.
Right.
But we have an appreciation for the hard work that goes into it. So even if we critique it and have maybe some negative things to say, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be doing it. There's always room for improvement. We are both creatives. We've both been creatives for decades at this point, and we look back at the things we did early in our careers, early when we were self-teaching. I guess that's I don't know if that's the right word to say, but we're both basically self-taught in our respective jobs. And we know that if we look back at those original projects, they are just absolute crap. Mm-hmm. But at the time we thought it was really good and we were very proud of ourselves. So it doesn't mean that you should not continue to learn and strive to become better, because we don't just, pop into a career field and are amazing. That just doesn't happen. You have to kind of fall down and fail before you can learn, what your strengths are and get better.
Right. You're always evolving. You should always be evolving. You should always be looking to improve. And failure is one of the lessons you can learn from quote unquote failure, which is a very subjective term, are invaluable. There are people that I know who are so afraid to fail that they don't do anything at all. They're just frozen. So the fact that you may be listening to this and maybe you submitted to IndieEye Film Awards, even if it wasn't something maybe you were super proud of or something we felt could be improved, the fact that you had something to submit is so far above and beyond what most people end up with when they say, oh, I'm going to go make a short film, or I'm going to go make a feature film, or I'm going to do this or that. A lot of the time, people just talk about it.
Yeah, there's no follow through.
They quit before they even start. You get halfway into filmmaking and realize this is hard. I don't want to do it. People quit on you. I mean, it can become a disaster, and you don't do it. Or even if you get everything shot, everything's in the can, and you start editing and you realize this is a long road, and at some point you're just not as interested anymore, and you're more interested in the next thing you're going to do. And maybe you look at your edits and you're like, oh, I should have done this better. I'm not going to let anybody see this. I'm going to do the next thing and it's going to be super awesome. Well, if you stop at that point, you're robbing yourself of the opportunity to learn so many things that maybe you're not even aware that you could be learning through post. Like I got to learn when I just finished my last film, I got to learn Adobe Audition a lot more than I had been familiar with it before. And it was because I had to, because of, due to several factors, it was just not going to be outsourced. So I did it all myself. And if I didn't stick through that, I wouldn't have learned Audition that well. So that's all to say that even if we hate your film, which it's nothing's that serious, but even if we did, the fact that you did it is amazing. It's
and finished it.
Yeah,
that is like A+ for finishing it for real.
Yeah, and if you're hearing this, then you're probably already on to the next thing, and I assume you've already learned so much since then that you're just better. So kudos to all of you who submitted, all of you who are in the process of getting better right now. Just congratulations, and thank you so much for letting us watch your work and enjoy it. So this podcast going forward will focus on those submissions and not really so much about what we do. I mean, if you have any questions, you can always let us know. You can email at hello@IndieEyeFilmAwards.com, or you can comment on YouTube. We'll have this up on YouTube. It'll just be the audio, but we'll have a visual card up there, a graphic up there for you to see. Because we're recording this podcast in my office at home. And there's gear all over the place.
It's not pretty in here.
It's not. So thanks again for listening to IndieEye Film Awards podcast. And in the next episode, we're going to talk about all of our February submissions. What is it now? It's the 16th. So you'll probably be hearing this by the 17th if you're listening. And submissions for this month end when?
On the 20th?
On the 20th. And so if you hear this and you're interested in having us talk about your film and you haven't submitted already, please head over to IndieEyeFilmAwards.com, or you can search for IndieEye Film Awards on Film Freeway and submit something for us to see, and we'll go from there. We'll try to get it watched and talk about it.
We'll give you our feedback.
Right. Now, I guess one thing we'll want everyone to know is, when is the next episode of IndieEye Film Awards podcast going to be? And I'm thinking we record this weekend because you have to take off after this weekend. So we will record it this weekend and have it out early next week, probably. And while the notification date our notification date is the 25th.
Yes.
I'm really confident that prior to the 25th, we'll have everything sorted out and everyone will know how they stand in this particular month's competition. Because we're ahead of the game and we're eager to let everybody know, and we don't want to keep anybody waiting. That's another thing about these kind of shady film festivals I don't like, is they'll say notification date is February 16th, and then the 16th comes, and the 17th comes, the 18th comes, you don't hear anything, and then they change it to February 25th. And then you still don't hear anything. A couple days go by, and then they will let you know whatever it is, and you don't hear anything else. So anyways, my point is that we're going to be timely and punctual.
Yeah.
Because that's the kind of people we are anyways. We don't want to keep anybody waiting.
And it'll be a monthly podcast because we have a new basically monthly submission date. I don't know. I'm not saying this right. We have a new event essentially every single month.
Right. So March.
Yeah. So March 1st through the 20th will be.
Actually, we'll probably open up before then.
That's true.
For submissions.
That's true. We'll probably open up at the end of February.
And
for March.
And this is all depending on how many submissions we get. For February, for our first month, quite surprised by all of the submissions, all of the great submissions we have received. And, if it grows from here, then maybe we won't get to talk about everything. But I think this month we can pretty much talk about everything. We can get all that in, and then we'll just have to see how we can manage going forward. So we can't make a lot of promises.
That's
we can't
true.
guarantee anybody that we'll talk about your thing. We will certainly try. But I don't want to make like a 4-hour podcast talking about everyone's work.
Right. Or have to break up the month into separate weeks or anything like that.
Because we're trying to keep this as simple as possible so that we can be as consistent as possible.
Yeah, you won't hear us go, "Oh, we're so sorry, we haven't been around for a while."
Hey guys, sorry, haven't uploaded in a while.
That's not going to be us.
Yeah, no, but both of us are very experienced in running YouTube channels and doing podcasts and stuff like that. So we are professionals, and we didn't do this on a whim. We certainly intend to maintain this type of production.
Yeah.
To listen to. So let's wrap it up and get out of people's ears. This was Who We Are. I'm Matt.
And I'm Dre.
And we are IndieEye Film Awards podcast. And thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Okay, bye.
If you'd like your project discussed on the podcast, go to IndieEyeFilmAwards.com and submit to our open monthly competition. Find us on Instagram and YouTube. IndieEye Film Awards. Thanks for listening to this episode of IndieEye.